Life in the Wild West wasn't easy. You were either an outlaw or hated by outlaws. There were some good citizens, and typically, if you were a good citizen, you weren't necessarily walking around with a six-shooter on your hip or with a lever-action rifle or a shotgun slung over your shoulder. If you were a gentleman, civilized, or maybe a bar matron, or just somebody that wanted to keep a low profile, you might have instead carried one of these for personal protection. That's right. Today's video, and video number 2 in my series on why I want a certain gun, is on the Derringer. And this is a Bond Arms Derringer. It's a 2-shot flip-up barrel based on a time-tested firearm that has been around for many years. These things started out as muzzle loaders way back in the day, and then they had something like a 41 caliber rimfire cartridge for a long time that were actually joked about because the 41 rimfire was so underpowered you could shoot somebody, and if they were wearing heavy clothing, the bullets would just bounce off. This particular one, though, shooting 45 long Colt or 410 shotgun shells, is actually a pretty viable candidate for self-defense. Now let's talk about why I like this particular type of gun, a Derringer. Some people may not think that Derringers are worth the metal that they're made out of. If you look at Men in Black 2, when Will Smith is handed his gun and it's that little dinky pistol, and he thought it was a joke, but it was one of the most powerful guns in the movie. So we're going to talk about the Derringer tonight. And why is it historically significant? Why is it stuck around as long as it has? Why does it have a bad reputation? And why do I personally like it? So let's get into the video. So what is a Derringer? Well, it's basically a very small handgun that's not considered a revolver or a semi-auto that can be placed on your person, hidden away, either in a coat pocket or, as the barmaids had, sometimes in their stockings. One of the first times I remember seeing a Derringer was in a movie called The Apple Dumpling Gang. This man, Mr. Donovan, who was a good guy in the movie and just trying to make his way in life by playing cards and winning lots of money, carried one in his coat pocket and pulled it out several times throughout the movie. Gene Hackman carried one in The Quick and the Dead and is shown here pulling it out at one point in the movie. Throughout Western movies, you'll see both good guys and bad guys carrying Derringers hidden away. Oftentimes, you'll see barmaids with them in their purse or their stockings or their garter, and they pull it out when needed. The Derringers have been around a long time, and a lot of people don't really consider them a viable carry option anymore. Even myself, I don't think it's the most practical carry option. The Derringer is something that can be used for evil, though, as a Derringer was actually used to assassinate President Lincoln as he sat in Ford's Theater and watched a play with his wife. While this is not a traditional double-barrel Derringer that we think about today, it does fall into the category of a Derringer, as it's a small, pocketable pistol with 1 or 2 barrels that can shoot 1 or 2 shots at a time. Now, in today's world, with Palmer Wonder handguns and all the other options that you have out there, is this really a viable self-defense carry gun? Well, judging by the fact that this thing weighs like, I don't know, a metric ton, because it's all made out of stainless steel, and the fact that it only has 2 shots, and the fact that a lot of people will complain that 410 bore or 45 long Colt are ancient cartridges that don't have a lot of power, somebody may want to carry this for self-defense. It's not my first choice, but that's not why I bought this. But people that may want to carry this for self-defense would be somebody that inherited it, somebody who lives in an area where this is the only gun that they can get. Maybe they're not allowed to have semi-automatic firearms. They're not allowed to have firearms that have magazines in them. It's still a viable option. If you were oppressed by tyranny and you had to fight your way out, this gun could get you to take somebody down so that you could get a better gun and fight your way out. That's kind of what the FP-45 Liberator was in World War II. Similar gun to that effect, that you could take it, kill somebody, take their gun, and then fight to get a better gun. But in this particular aspect, just kind of the the romantic quirkiness of this gun because of Western movies and the folklore behind it, that all the bad guys carried one of these in their boot or in their jacket pocket or their vest pocket. So they always had a backup gun in the Old West. That's the reason I like this gun. It's just one of those, not really something that makes a whole lot of sense to people why anybody would want this thing or want to carry it. I mean, you reload it, it's kind of weird. You got to flip the barrel up, put the 2 rounds in the chamber, flip it closed, and then it's not double action, so you have to cock the hammer every time you want to fire it. The first time you fire it, I believe it fires the top barrel, cock it again, fire it, and I believe it fires the bottom barrel. And the trigger on this thing is unbelievably heavy. It's like 18 and a half, 19 pounds. Maybe not quite that heavy, but that's what it feels like. And it's odd because it kind of pivots down. It doesn't pull straight back. It twists. So you have to kind of grab the very tip of the trigger, and it's a very, very heavy trigger pull. But I don't care. Not everything you buy has to have a logical reason or a good use for you to want to buy it.
Screw you guys, I'm buying a Derringer. Nope, screw you, Derringer.
It's just one of those things that ever since I was a kid, I've seen them in Western movies. I really like it. It's, like I said, it's just romanticized as this cool little pocket gun that all the outlaws used to carry, or the good guys would carry to get out of a pinch so that they could, you know, live, try to get out of the saloon, get away from being murdered for their money that they just won at the saloon or something like that. So to me, just the fact that it's a cool gun, it's little, and it's just one of those things that you can't explain why you like it, but you just like it. And Western movies, that's really the reason why I like Derringer firearms. So this particular one is a Bond Arms Derringer. It's called the Rough and Rowdy. It is a 410 bore or a 45 long Colt, as I've said a couple of times. I have shot it in other videos, and it's reliable. I mean, it's a center fire cartridge that you're shooting out of it. Every time I pull the trigger, it's gone bang. It's a little bit of a handful to hold when you're shooting a full powered slug or some good buckshot, but I have a whole bunch of self-defense buckshot for this thing, and for my Smith & Wesson Governor as well, because 2 or 3 years ago, Walmart had the Federal 410 buckshot self-defense stuff on clearance, and I bought every box they had because it was like $4.50 or $5 a box. I don't even know how many boxes. I probably have 8 or 9 boxes of that stuff. So I have some decent quote-unquote self-defense loads for it if I ever did want to carry it, but realistically, that's the Taurus G3C, and with 10 rounds of 9mm, the Taurus weighs less than the Derringer does and has a lot more stopping power, and it's a semi-auto, so I can just keep firing. But does the Taurus look as good as the Derringer? I mean, come on, that's not even a question you should ask. Of course it doesn't look as good as the Derringer, but it serves a function as well, just like the Derringer would for those people who that was their only carry option. But I just wanted to tell you guys why I bought this gun, why I like this gun. This whole series, I'm trying to keep the videos around 10 minutes or less, and they're going to be just me talking. They're not scripted. I just want to have fun with this and explain myself why I think certain guns are cool, why I want them, and they don't necessarily need to serve a purpose. Sometimes if you just want something and you have a little bit of money in your pocket, why not go buy it? You don't have to explain yourself to somebody else. And I guess that's going to do it for tonight's video. I just wanted to have a quick chat with you guys. Thanks again for watching Cranky Gun Reviews. God bless America. Support your two-way rights. And remember, if somebody asks you to give up a little bit of your freedom for the greater good, you remind them that freedom is the greater good. Have a good night.
One last thing in passing. The real Doc Holliday actually carried a Derringer in real life, and it's actually in the Doc Holliday Museum in Colorado. In the words of Doc Holliday, "You want to take my gun? I'm your huckleberry."